Hey VC, happy 2021. This is Dave here, and I thought I would jump on and do a thread by Alan, who has a channel called Static Traveler. He had 10 questions, and it says all vinyl, non-vinyl thread. So he asked questions and wanted you to show things that weren't on vinyl or that you may have on CD or cassette or 8-track, whatever else that you had other than vinyl. So the first question was, show a mini replica format CD or a CD with unusual packaging. And I picked this one here, A Love Supreme by John Coltrane on Impulse. And it folds out like this. It's a 20-bit remastering of A Love Supreme by Coltrane, and yeah, it was a real nice album. You know, doesn't really need too much said about it, but yeah, I believe this is a replica of that album. Here's another one. This is a progressive band called Spring, British progressive band, and it's on the Arkama label. It too folds out. There's a 3 fold out type CD package, and it has like a little inside sleeve thing like that came with it. Evidently the label Arkama is on the Comet Records, and they have a website there, cometrecords.com. I'm not going to focus on it. Anyway, they're a British progressive band, and use Mellotron, which I'm a fan of. So, you know, you can hear this on YouTube too if you're interested. And here's one by Harmonia 76. And I just thought this spine here with the ribbed things on the spine, this is called Tracks and Traces, and it unfolds like this. It has nice artwork on the inside, but yeah, nice packaging. He says, show a music book you have returned to often. Well, back in the day, I used to return to this one often. I used to, you know, read Rolling Stone ever so often, and would read this book from time to time. There's a review or whatever on Eno, and they would write their music. There's one on the Kinks. Which one is that? Something Else. And they would rate the records and talk about the band and talk about specific albums by stars, you know, 1, 2, 3 stars and whatever. But of course now everything is online these days, but way back when, you know, before the internet, you know, that was pretty handy to have. And then I picked this one up not too long ago. This is a CD-ROM, which you know, has all the issues of Rolling Stone magazine, starting from the first issue up until May 2007. And it's a real interesting little CD-ROM. It has all the, you know, everything that the old Rolling Stones had, you know, the movie reviews and, you know, even the cigarette ads or whatever. It's a real, you know, time warp to the past. But yeah, I was happy to find that. I got it at a really nice price. It's really interesting to go back and look at some of that older stuff. And then I also bought this book. This kind of updated music a little bit. It kind of went into the 80s. I think this came out in 87 or so. But again, it was somewhat like Rolling Stone and the Rolling Stone book there in some ways. There's B.B. King. And we just give a little synopsis of the artist and maybe their better known albums and what have you. But yeah, it's called the Encyclopedia of Rock. Let's see, he says, show 3 CDs releases by the same artist from 3 different decades. I picked Joni Mitchell. This is the first album. It's a really nice album, produced by David Crosby. Real quiet, and I like it for that reason. It's real different from a lot of her other stuff, which kind of gets fusiony, and I like all of her period, generally speaking. But yeah, often overlooked in her discography, but it's a real nice one once you get used to it. And this is The Hissing of Summer Lawns, which came out, I believe, in the 80s, '70s. But kind of jazzy in some ways, and kind of melancholy in its overall tone, but it's done really nice, I think. Here's one of her more of a recent albums, Night Ride Home. This came out in the 90s, and again, one of her more recent, newer albums by Joni Mitchell. Show a box set that you own with the most CDs. I guess this one here. This is a classical small quartet, the Janacek Quartet, and it's violin and stringed instruments. I believe it has 7 CDs on it. Like I said, it's on Deutsche Grammophon, and yeah, pretty pleasant. If you're looking to get into classical music, something like, I always like the small chamber stuff better. And this has Mozart, Haydn, Mendelssohn, Brahms, Dvorak, and some of your composers like that. There's also some piano on it. But yeah, a real nice box set there. Let's see, show a music magazine or magazine-produced publication. Well, way back in the day, I used to read Guitar Player. This is a Frank Zappa, and supposedly that guitar he's holding is the one that Jimi Hendrix burned, I think in the Monterey Pop Festival, if I'm not mistaken, although it may have been another one. This one also has Lindsey Buckingham and Freddie King in it. But yeah, I used to subscribe to Guitar Player back in the day. And then here's one on progressive music, Progression Magazine. This one has Rick Wakeman in it, Steve Hackett, Porcupine Tree, Kayak, Blind Guardian, Magma, and some other bands. But of course, you know, the reason that you'd also get these not only for the interviews, but you know, it would kind of tip you off on where to buy albums and stuff like that. And you know, it has you know, reviews and all sorts of things that you can, you know, look at it, like ads and stuff of different bands. And again, I had this shortly before really the internet started going, or before I was too much into the internet. This is a copy from 1999, I guess it is. But and then here's the Fretboard Magazine, Jillian Welsh. And if you're into acoustic guitar or guitars in general, but mostly acoustic music, this is a real nice one to get. Of course, some of the ads and the, you know, it's a real engaging magazine with, you know, pretty pictures and stuff like that. But you know, again, it has reviews and nice layouts of different type instruments, vintage instruments, a lot of folk and things folk related, and you'd find things of interest from all, you know, nice ads, like I said. And then it says, let's see, show a non-music or CD or cassette. Show a non-music CD or cassette. I was listening to this one here the other day. This is Isaac Asimov's Foundation, I believe the first book, and it's read by William Shatner. Here the other day, the electricity went out on my house. I had a power outage during a snowstorm. And not only did it get really cold in the house, but I didn't have TV or anything, no lights. It was a real bummer. But I have a little cassette player, and I put batteries in it, and at least I could listen to a little music in the radio and listen to this tape. So yeah, Isaac Asimov Foundation. And then I got this not too long ago. This is Jerry on Jerry. This is an unpublished Jerry Garcia interview. It comes with 5 CDs. So if you're into the Grateful Dead, you might want to look for that. Show an album you have not played in over 2 years. Well, there's probably a few of them. And while looking for this particular question here, I ran into quite a few of them. I mean, there's always something that when you're doing these videos that you know realize you have and haven't heard in a while. But this is a John Fahey cassette. Visits Washington D.C. John Fahey's acoustic guitar player. Here's one I haven't heard in a while, and I couldn't even tell you what this is like. This is Black Talk by Charles Earland. It's on Impulse Prestige Records. And I really couldn't even tell you what he plays. Like it says on here. Charles Earland. Says a perfectly locked groove allows for highly energetic solos from Earland and guitarist Melvin Sparks. It's not saying what he plays, I don't see it. But I have to listen to this here shortly too, just to refresh my memory what it's like. I don't know if I'm sure it's jazz, but I don't know if it's funk or what. But yeah, I haven't played that in a while. And then I ran across this one too. This is a Stomu Yamashita, Sea and Sky. He's an Asian synthesist, plays synthesizer. Remember this being real ambient, but and sometimes he can get into some kind of a little bit dated, you know, at least on this album, kind of a little bit of some rhythms and stuff. But overall, you know, this CD's worth picking up if you run into it. Like I said, he plays synthesizer and percussion, and then there are 2 other synthesizer players that help him on that release. Show a music-related DVD you would recommend. Well, I would recommend these. Now, I always liked the Mothers of Invention, Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention, when they first came out. This is them in the 60s, and it's you know, if you really like that era of Frank Zappa, you know, it's a real neat one to watch. You can probably rent this too on streaming services like Amazon or Netflix. I think Netflix had it, but I kind of wanted my own copy too, so yeah. Frank Zappa and the Mothers. Here's another one, From Straight to Bizarre, which is talking about Frank Zappa's music labels. And it has various, you know, people on there like Wildman Fisher and, you know, Captain Beefhearts, and Alice Cooper started out on his Bizarre label. So if you're into that whole scene there, this would be a good one too to watch. You can probably rent these on GTOs. You know, you can rent these on, or watch them on those streaming services too, I would imagine. Let's see, in the 9th question says, show an album which was a disappointment. And I'd say maybe this one. I have the first Crosby album on If Only I Could Remember My Name, which is a really kind of a classic album as far as I'm concerned. And this one, It's not an entirely bad album, but it's not as good as that first one, and it kind of is a departure from the way that first one was done. But yeah, maybe that one. However, I bought this one not too long ago. This was just called Croz, and I really thought the music on here was really is nice and melodic. Him with a newer band, and yeah, it's kind of a return to form, at least as far as say him writing, you know, songs like he did for Crosby, Stills and Nash and stuff like that. And then the last question: show an album with a poor cover and or an album you would never play in front of your parents or children. Well, I didn't think this was the best cover in the world. It's just really a printed, you know, Wishbone Ash. This is a live album, their greatest hits live, you know, with a Flying V guitar in the background there. So yeah, not too much of a cover there. As far as the one I'd never play in front of my parents, now I was into the Mothers early on, back in the day. And so I had some pretty crazy music back then. Now this album, the one I would mention that I'm not playing from in front of my parents, I was kind of embarrassed about, was the Fugs album, which I don't know if my brother picked that up or I bought it, but I think my brother did. And the name of it is It Crawled Into My Hand, Honest. And there was a song on there called Big Wide River, and you can hear that on Netflix if you're so inclined. But it's a gospel song. If they do it in a gospel sound, and you'll just have to hear the lyrics over there. Like I said, it's called Big Wide River by the Fugs. But I remember listening to that album sometimes, and whenever that song came on, I'd always have to turn it down. So yeah, those are 10 questions by Alan, Static Traveler. And wanted to come on here and do a thread as well. I thought they were pretty good questions. So hope everybody's staying well and healthy, and hope we have a better year this year. So we'll talk to you later.